Okay, dear children, now let us continue with the public expenditure. So what is public expenditure? By public expenditure, we mean those type of expenditures that are incurred by the public authorities. Okay, so the public authorities can be uh, at the central level, at the state level, and at the local level. By central level, we mean the uh, by the central government. Okay, and by state level, we mean the state government, and by local level or the local bodies, we mean the at the district level. Okay, or at the city level. Okay, that is at the municipal uh, area, or at the panchayat. Gram panchayat. Okay, so why these authorities, I mean the public authorities, they spend the money? Because they need to maintain the infrastructure of the society, the uh, country, okay, at the large level. So they have to look after the collective requirements and the needs of the citizens, okay, and also to promote economic as well as social welfare. Okay, so that is your public expenditure. Just like we spend money for buying our own things, okay, our own requirements, that is your private expenditure, isn't it? So similarly, when the public authorities, they spend the money, that is known as the public expenditure. Okay, so the concept is very simple. So now let us see what are the effects of public expenditure on production. So how the production is affected, okay, by this public expenditure. Now, here are the 6 points that have been taken from book itself. So, number one, it helps in generating income for various individuals and firms as a result of purchase of goods and services and factor services from them. So, when the government purchase uh, materials from the companies, okay, for example, uh, like the defense items, okay, you must have seen that Shaktiman truck. Okay, we used to call it Shaktiman because previously there was a name called Shaktiman truck, or the trucks that are used by the military. Okay, so these trucks are manufactured by Tata or either by Ashok Leyland. Okay, you must have seen that. So when the government spend money on buying these kind of trucks, what happens? Income will be generated. Okay, now the firm's level of income will increase. Overall, your country's level will increase. Okay, so it will contribute to the GDP ultimately. Okay, so when your GDP increases, which means the income is generated, what happens? There will be the growth or growth in the uh, generation of employment as well. Okay, so it helps in the generation of income for firms as well as the households. Okay, that is your individuals. Now it can help, number two, it can help in increasing production in the economy by increasing the efficiency of the people. So yes, just like we discussed in point number one, that the income will be generated, right? So when the income is generated, what happens? There will be growth in the production sector. So when the production increases, what happens? Employment will be generated. Okay, now the people will be hired, and for the hiring purpose, what happens? The individuals, they have to go through the training procedure. Okay, so when the people, they go through the training process, they will be more efficient in their job. Okay, we can see the division of labor also out here. Okay, so point number three, it can be used to create human skills through education and training. So yes, the same thing that has been discussed in point number two, that is the human skills and their efficiency can be bettered through education and training. So like we already discussed about this training part, right? Now about this education. Now the government, you must have heard this term, that is the government school, a government college, and the governments, they sometimes sponsor some children. They provide free education and uh, this scholarships. Okay, so the governments, they spend money on education as well. Okay, so when the money is invested on education, what happens? They will be skilled. Okay, they people will be literate. Okay, so the literacy rate will also increases. Okay, so in case of the HDI, that is the Human Development Index, the ranking of the country also will be better. Okay, now point number 4, it can be used as a means of producing essential raw materials and other important inputs in the public sector. So now this like the essential raw materials. Okay, essential raw materials can also be produced. Okay, for just like the in case of the COVID vaccine, very simple, and the most known item, that is the COVID vaccine. So now when the government will spend money for producing this kind of raw materials, what happens? The shortage of the vaccine will not be there. Okay, and this will enhance the health facility. Okay, so people will be socially secure about it. Okay, and various types of other types of important items can also be manufactured. Okay, like this the shortage of food items. Okay, the shortage of the this insecticides, pesticides, okay, fertilizers, etc. So the government can overcome this situation of shortage through public expenditure. Point number 5, it is helpful in promoting the development of basic and key industries such as capital good industries. By capital good industries, we mean the industries uh, which produce heavy machineries. Okay, so through the government expenditure, that is the public expenditure, government can build up the industry. Okay, they can set up the industry. So by doing this, what happens? It also contributes in the industrialization of the economy. Okay, and lastly, the point number 6, it is incurred in providing social security schemes, just like mm, this e-shram card. Okay, PF. Okay, ESS. Okay, so uh, government provides various types of social security schemes to the citizens of the country. Okay, now effect of public expenditure on investment. So we saw the effect on production. What happens to the production? Now about the investment, that is the effect of public expenditure on investment. So what are they? Number 1, it is incurred on maintenance of law and order and creates confidence in the minds of investors. So when the public, I mean, when the government, okay, when the government they make the public expenditure, that is paying salary to the army personals and police personals, what happens is that the law and order will be maintained. Okay, so when the law and order is maintained, that is, there will be no case of social unrest. Okay, so this will uh, create the confidence among the investors. Why? Because if you are investing money in market, okay, and let us say that there is high rate of crime in your area, and they loot the stock exchange market every day. So do you think that the investors will be willing to invest in such risky market? No, the investors will not invest in such kind of market. Okay, so when the law and order is maintained, the investors will be confident about their investment, so they will make uh, more investment, And this is also the case where we can see that we can attract the foreign investments as well. Okay, so the investment will increase. Point number two, it can be directly used to create social overheads in the form of human capital. So uh, by investing, okay, sorry, through investment, what happens that the human capital or the human resource will be built. For example, like you are investing uh, your time and energy in being a literate person, isn't it? You want to pass out this class 12, that's why you are studying. Okay, your parents, they are investing money so that tomorrow you will get a nice job. So this is how the human capital or the human resource is created, okay, through public expenditure. But in terms of the public expenditure, like government, they said that this the primary education is necessary and it is for free of cost. That's why there are government schools where they provide midday meal as well. Okay, in fact, this system of breakfast also has begun. Okay, so to provide the better health and the education to the poor people, I mean the poor children of our country. Okay, so that the nation can be built. Okay, now point number three, it is incurred in creation and maintenance of economic overheads such as power, irrigation, transport, and communication. So overall, basically, this public expenditure, I mean, this through this public expenditure, the investment on power, okay, irrigation, transport, and communication, that is infrastructure. Okay, so the government, by investing money on public expenditure, will create more investment in the market. Okay, so this is how the this investment multiplier, we have already talked about this, right? So investment multiplier, so the formula is 1 by MPS, or 1 by 1 minus C, or simply MPC, right? So government, they also contribute in the investment of the country. Okay, I mean through investment they can generate more power. Okay, like the solar power plant. Okay, like setting up of the solar power plant. Okay, and the irrigation facilities, I mean the systems or the working of the irrigation will be better, so that the farmers can enjoy um, quality irrigation system. Okay, and through transportation. Okay, so when the transportation, I mean when the roads are constructed, okay, what happens, so this the transportation facility will be better. Like there are four means of transportation, we already know that: this roadways, airways, railways, and waterways. Okay, so the government can invest on the transportation, okay, as well as the communication also. When the towers are set up, the communication will be better, I mean the network will be better. Okay, so that we can enjoy good speed service. Okay, point number four, it is incurred for providing financial assistance and subsidies. Like yes, this government of India, they provide subsidy on the LPG cylinders, isn't it? They provide free ration also. Okay, and sometimes the government, they can provide financial assistance to the needy people, for example farmers. So that is your I mean the effect of public expenditure on investment. Okay, because when the government uh, they provide such type of help and assistance, okay, and they are maintaining the law and order, okay, when they are creating the human capital, okay, and when they are investing their money, they are spending the money on this power generation, irrigation, transportation, and communication. What happens that the investment overall, it will increase. Okay, so that there, I mean the private companies as well, they can take part uh, in the making of power generation, okay, irrigation, transportation, communication, and etc, etc. Okay, so the investment will be increased. Anyway, now let us see the effect of public expenditure on income distribution. So let us say point number one, it can be so devised as to help the poor sections of the society and thereby reduce inequality of income. So it is just a theory, by the way. So yes, it could have been devised such a way that the gap between the rich and the poor could be minimized, okay, or it can be nullified. But it would have been better that this public expenditure, okay, when it is devised such a way that the economic gap can be nullified. But there are some complications, okay. However, when public expenditure is devised, or when it is planned in such a way, when it is uh, um, programmed such a way that the poor section as well as the rich section can be minimized, okay, so that there will be the equal level of uh, income. But the main problem is that there is inequality of income, like a poor person, okay, let's say he is a kuli or bhariwala, okay, so um, he may be earning 5,000, 10,000 per month, okay, but whereas if you see the Mukesh Ambani, he is earning in crores, right? So using or devising public expenditure such a way, this inequality of income can be minimized, okay. Now, point number two, it can be effectively used in reducing regional disparities and provide financial assistance. Yes, because of the regional disparities also, there are some people are deprived from uh, various types of government schemes and benefits, okay. Just like because of the uh, regional area, like in Siliguri, if you just compare, okay, like Siliguri and this Kalimpong, if you just compare this, what happens, that there is a disparity out here, isn't it? Like we don't have a nice clinic out here like in Kalimpong, okay. If there is any kind of medical emergency, okay, if the patient is very much critical, okay, where we have to go, we have to go to Siliguri, okay. But this public, this I mean the government can spend money setting up the better health infrastructure, okay, the medical facilities, okay, so that the regional disparity can be reduced, okay. Now what is the effect of public expenditure of economic growth? Now it promotes economic development, okay, because the overall infrastructure will be better, okay. When the government is spending more and more money setting up the infrastructures, what happens? Obviously there will be economic growth, and we already know that this economic growth is a continuous process, okay. And remember that the government is spending money in making roads, okay. You already know that part, okay. So every year the road is being constructed, as you can notice that while going to Siliguri, that the road is being constructed still, okay. So that is how the government can make the expenditure, okay. Now point number two, uh, it may stimulate economic development by, sorry, indirectly by providing education, training, and research facilities. Remember, children, this economic growth, okay, it is a quantitative aspect, okay, whereas economic development, it is a qualitative aspect, okay. And economic growth is a continuous process, whereas economic development is not a continuous process, remember, okay. And the government by sorry through public expenditure, okay, they can bring about the change in economic development through research facilities, okay, through education and various types of training programs, okay. Because this will enhance the lifestyle of people as well. When the people are literate, okay, when the people are educated, okay, and when they are going through various types of training programs and all, okay, and when the research is being conducted, okay, when the government is spending more and more money for the research purpose, what happens? Obviously they will achieve the economic welfare, okay, and ultimately economic development, okay. Remember that part. Now, point number three, in the form of subsidies, it can help in stimulating agricultural and industrial development. So, as we have already discussed about this financial assistance and subsidies, so yes, uh, this can stimulate in agriculture as well as the industrial development. Okay, when the government is providing any kind of subsidy, okay, the farmers will be motivated, okay, they will feel encouraged by the mm, this subsidy, okay, and they will uh, perform their economic activity, okay, and this is how the economic growth can be achieved. For example, let us say that a farmer, okay, there is a farmer who was being subsidized for the purchase of tractor and fertilizers and high yield variety seeds. So uh, when the farmer get this much of a subsidy, okay, for buying such kind of items, he will be motivated, he will feel encouraged, okay, so then he will produce more and more amount of rice or wheat or any kind of food crop or any kind of economic crop, okay, so this will enhance the economic growth, okay, because this will contribute in the GDP, and when the GDP increases, remember that automatically your economic growth is attained, okay. And point number 4, its policy can be effectively used to reduce economic gaps. So the same point out here, this point number 1 and point number 4, they are same, okay. Now public expenditure. So as you can see out here in the picture, I have tried to explain you out here. This, yeah, this was the yes, this is the business cycle which I was talking about. Okay, so this is a peak stage or the boom stage, and if when the graph is, if it is going upward, it is known as the recovery stage. Okay, and if but if it is coming down, then that's called the recession. And when it is, you can see out here. So this is your depression stage. So which is a very dangerous situation. I wish that because of this tension of Russia and Ukraine, uh, you know, it will not impact the economic, I mean, the world economy. Okay, because if anything happens to the, uh, I mean, between these two countries, okay, if there is a kind of war-like situation, okay, however it's going on, but if the tension, okay, if it is catalyzed, okay, if really the war starts, okay, and if other countries are also involved out here, then automatically it will impact the global economy. Why? Because today in this modern world, the countries are related, I mean, they are somehow connected to each other through globalization, okay, so there will be the impact on our economy as well. So we must avoid this kind of war-like situations, okay. Anyway, as you can see that this expenditure, I mean the public expenditure, can be for the social welfare, okay, for health infrastructures, okay, for education, for any kind of financial assistance, okay, transportation, communication, information technology, etc, etc, okay. So in various areas the money can be spent, okay. So when these, okay, are attained, that is your social welfare is achieved, okay, when the health infrastructure, okay, the medical this medical facilities are provided, okay, when the education, I mean when the government is spending money for education purpose, okay, and also to provide financial assistance and subsidies, and for the uh, other areas of infrastructure like transportation, communication, okay, technology and all. So when you see that the government is spending money on these areas, what happens? Economic growth is achieved, okay. So when there is economic growth in the market, okay, when there is economic growth in market, there will be some, at some level of economic development as well, okay. And through various policies, okay, so this public expenditure, when it is devised such a way that the economic gap is also nullified, so then they will achieve the economic stability, okay. However there will be some kind of inequality in the market, okay, but still the stability can be achieved, okay, that is at the level of equilibrium, okay. You can assume it to be the equilibrium situation, okay. For example, okay, that is attaining the BEP, that is the break even point, okay. So that was all about public expenditure and economic stability. Now let us discuss about this public debt. Okay, so what is public debt now? It is a debt which the government owes to its subjects or the nationals of other countries. So when the government they take a loan, okay, from the citizens of the country and from foreign nationals, that is known as the public debt. Now you may ask me how the government can raise loan through bonds and debentures. Okay, if the public company, okay, uh, if any public entity is uh, selling its shares, debentures, or any kind of bonds and all, okay, so and if you purchase, so okay, sorry, not shares, okay, sorry, this is not the share, because shares do not create the liability, whereas debentures and bonds they create liability. Okay, so uh, when the liability is generated or created through the issue of debentures and the bonds by government, okay, so this is how the public debt will be created. Okay, I mean liability is also generated uh, by the way. Okay, like bonds and debentures, you already know that in this chapter you have seen already that the debentures are redeemable, okay, non-redeemable, convertible, okay, but let us just talk about this redeemable debentures. Okay, so they need to be redeemed after 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. So what happens when the government they issue the bonds or debentures, they actually issue a certificate, okay, a kind of a promissory note, okay, that the government will repay your money after 5 years or 10 years, be in a lump sum or through installment way, by adding some interest as well. Okay, they will give you some amount of return. Okay, so that is how the government can generate the public debt. Okay, so when the public sorry, when the government they collect money from the public, that is known as the public debt, right? So now what are the uh, methods of debt reduction? Okay, now let us talk about this types of debt reduction. Now see this structure, okay, this structure section, it has been reduced for this particular year, but still please go through the book, okay, for understanding the concept. Okay, please go through this structure, okay, and the reasons for borrowing by the government. Okay, so please go through these reduced topics as well if you want to understand in great depth. Okay, so now let us see what are the methods of debt reduction. So uh, the you can say um, the techniques or okay or the methods how the government can reduce the amount of debt. Okay, number one, repudiation of debt. Sorry, repudiation of debt. It means that the refusal to pay a debt by the government. So when the government repudiates public debt, it does not recognize its obligations to pay the loan. It refuses to pay the interest as well as the principal amount of debt because of financial constraints. So if the government they I mean the government they issue bonds or debentures, okay, and they promised that after 5 years or 10 years they will pay the amount, but the government can refuse to do so. Yes, government can do so. Okay, they can simply ignore. Okay, so they can simply refuse to pay the debt amount. Okay, now refunding. So refunding is also the process uh, through which the government can reduce the amount of debt. It's like taking loan. Okay, sorry, taking one more loan to clear the amount of previous loan. Okay, so if for example, if you have loan taken from SBI, okay, and SBI they are saying that they want the money back as soon as possible. So you will approach Axis Bank, you take loan from Axis Bank and you repay SBI Bank's loan. So this is the concept of refunding. Okay, a very basic concept of refunding. Okay, now this date conversion. Okay, so This uh, date conversion means the conversion of the old date into a new one. For example, if you have taken loan from me, okay, let us say 500 rupees. You said that you will pay me after 1 year, okay. So after 1 year, you were unable to pay the money because of some financial crisis or maybe other some kind of reasons were there. So what you will do is that you will again renew the loan what you have taken. Okay, so in again you will take one more year to pay your money. Okay, so this is how the date can be reduced. Okay, so that is the date conversion. Simply it is the renewal of the previous date only. Okay, okay, and this point number 4, budgetary surplus. We have already seen that the budget, it can be like it can have three things. Okay, that is your balanced budget, okay, surplus budget, and the deficit budget, right? Now if the government receipts are more than their expenditure, obviously there will be surplus in the government's hand. Okay, so now if there is any budget surplus, through budget surplus the debt can be reduced. Okay, that surplus money can be used to clear off the debt. Okay, now this terminal annuities. So it is like your EMI system. Okay, when the government they decide that it cannot pay the entire amount of money at the same time, okay, at once, so the debt can be repaid in the form of EMI. Okay, equal installment system. Okay, so that is your terminal annuities method. Like for example, if you want to purchase a mobile phone, okay, its price is 39 sorry okay, yeah, 39,000, let us say. So paying 39,000 at once will be a burden for you, isn't it? So if you have taken in the form of EMI, then it will be easy for you. I mean, the burden will be very less. Okay, but however that period will be lengthy, but the burden will be less. Okay, that financial burden will be very less. Okay, so the government can also use this kind of method. Point number 6, uh, sinking fund method. Okay, so this type of sinking fund method can also be seen in case of the depreciation as well. Okay, you must have read the chapter, by the way, in class 11 in accounts, it's there. Okay, depreciation. So under that depreciation, okay, the two famous methods are there, right? Fixed installment method, and the other one is called the reducing balance method. But there is one more method that is known as the sinking fund method. Okay, annuity method. Almost there are 10 methods are there to calculate the depreciation. So one of them is the sinking fund. So the same concept has been utilized out here. It's very simple. By sinking fund, we mean a fund will be created by the government. Okay, a separate fund. So that separate fund can be used to clear off the debt. Okay, just like you are saving money in your piggy bag. Okay, sorry, piggy bank, right? So now, when in time of emergency, you can use that particular amount of money. Okay, so this is the concept of sinking fund. Okay, now you can go through this point number 7, 8, 9. Okay, so this statutory reduction in interest rate, capital levy, export surplus, etc. Okay, so you can go through that part. Just go through it. It's very simple. Now, yeah, we are at the end now. So this is your concept of deficit financing. Uh, this, in fact, uh, this one, we just have to understand the concept of deficit financing. Okay, that's it. What is deficit financing? Very simple. Okay, only the concept we must understand. Okay, because the other topics have been reduced. Okay, for this particular year. Really, it's a very big chapter, by the way. Okay, but so many things have been reduced that nothing is here in this particular chapter. It's very simple now. Okay, so many things have been reduced. In fact, this entire fiscal policy in action has been completely swiped off. Okay, completely reduced. This types of public expenditure, growth of public expenditure, structure of public debt, reasons for borrowing, okay, this deficit financing, this I mean the why the deficit financing occurs, okay, what are the causes of the deficit financing, the effect of deficit financing, everything has been removed, okay. So let us just try to understand the concept of deficit financing. Now, what is the meaning of deficit financing? It simply means that the government expenditure, okay, mm, this government expenditure when it is more than the revenue, okay, mm, it is only known as your deficit financing, okay. So in India, it is the main this basic concept, okay, of deficit financing, in which that the expenditure of the government will be in excess as compared to current revenue and the public borrowings. So when the government they borrow money from public in the form of bonds or debentures, and they are collecting the revenue as well, that is through tax receipts and the non-tax items, okay, when their income, okay, so basically you can say that the income of the government is less than the expenditure of the government. So this is the concept of deficit financing, okay, in India, okay. But however, this it means that the deficit between government expenditure and revenue through the creation of new money, okay. But see, this creation of new money will devalue the money, okay. So your value of rupee will be very less, okay. So government just cannot decide that they will print new currency notes. So printing currency notes and distributing to all the citizens of a country will not make us rich, okay. So that is basically the concept of deficit financing, okay. So expenditure is more than your revenue and the public borrowings, okay. So this is it, okay. We don't have to go in depth about it, okay. So this concludes your chapter.